What's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to be talking about mobility, flexibility, your ability to move, whatever you want to call it. More specifically, your warm-up routine. At first, I thought I should just record my typical warm-up and call it Alan Thrall's actual warm-up routine. But the truth is, my warm-up is not the best warm-up routine, and neither is yours. The truth is, there is no best warm-up routine. What works for you might not work for me, and what works for me might not work for you. You see, we all have different needs, different backgrounds, and different goals. Just like there is no perfect program, there is no perfect warm-up routine. I will now show you a list of stretches and movements that will help you in your quest to becoming more flexible. You do not have to do everything in this video, although you can if you want. I would suggest picking and choosing based on your own personal needs. In my opinion, a good warm-up consists of 3 parts. Part 1, mashing, or foam rolling. Muscles respond to overuse by increasing in density. Foam rolling decreases the density of the muscle. This is a necessary precursor to stretching. Which brings me to part 2, static stretching. Say what? Yes, static stretching. Static stretching is a stretch that involves no movement. You just stretch. Once muscle density has been dealt with, we need to work on increasing the muscle length. Static stretching has a very bad reputation, and I'm going to address your arguments before you have time to comment below. Argument number 1, you should not static stretch cold muscles. This is false. Your muscles actually respond better to stretching when they're cold. When your muscles are warm and you stretch post-workout, this feels better because it's easier to stretch. But once your muscles cool down, they return back to normal length. Stretching while cold will affect the muscle length long term. Take a look at someone who regularly practices yoga. Chances are they're fairly flexible and have no problems with range of motion. Do you think they perform burpees and a few sets of high knees to warm the body up before stretching? No, they don't. They simply breathe, relax, and stretch. Argument number 2. Static stretching reduces power output. This is actually true, but reduction in power is very short-lived. You see, back in the 80s, research suggested that static stretching reduces power output. Subjects were told to stretch for 90 to 120 seconds and then immediately test their power output. Research showed there was a reduction in power output.
56, 57, 58, 59, 60.
However, athletes who followed their stretching routine with a dynamic warm-up remained strong as hell, or something like that. What I'm trying to say is, static stretching is not bad for you. In fact, it's good for you. If you're like a lot of guys who walk around with a caveman posture and they walk around with a real rounded upper back, I don't care how many arm circles you do, I don't care how many push-ups you do to warm yourself up, you need to static stretch. You need to stretch your hands, your forearms, your biceps, front delt, your pecs, your neck, your abdomen. You need to relax those muscles. If you sit down at a desk for the majority of your day at work, chances are you're gonna have really tight hip flexors. You're gonna walk around like this. I don't care how many burpees you do, I don't care how many bodyweight squats you do, you need to fix this problem. So you need to take some time static stretching your hip flexors. So, as I wrap up part 2, static stretching is important, but it should be followed by part 3, dynamic warm-up. The purpose of a dynamic warm-up is to raise your body's core temperature, loosen up your joints, and activate certain muscle groups. The dynamic warm-up that most people are familiar with looks something like this. High knees, butt kickers, lunges, and so on. This works well for football teams, high school PE, and boot camp classes because it's quick, easy to learn, and structured well for group environments. My dynamic warm-up involves a little bit less running around. Before I move on, doing 100 pathetic burpees, running a half a mile, and cranking out 200 bodyweight half squats is not a good warm-up. It's a workout. A shitty workout at that. Without further ado, le warm-up routine. Tape 2 lacrosse balls together and lay on top of them. It should be positioned right in the middle of your T-spine or upper back. Perform some crunches on it and allow the lacrosse ball to dig into your spinal erectors. Regularly rolling out the fascia on the bottom of your foot is going to produce healthy feet and ankles. Mobile ankles and feet will definitely help your squat. For this calf stretch, you want to place the ball of your foot on a plate. Lock out your knee and lean forward. To feel the stretch in your ankle and Achilles, bend at the knee and push your knee forward towards a wall in front of you. Place your feet together, toes pointing forward. Grab onto something that will prevent you from falling backwards. Gently bounce up and down and rock back until your heels are flat on the ground. For this hamstring stretch, grab a light to medium resistance band, lay back and stretch your hamstring. Keep a slight bend in the knee. Now lean across your body. This time, lock your knee out and keep your leg as straight as an arrow. You should feel this down the side of your leg and behind the knee. Now, come back to the center and without turning your body, lay your leg out at a 90-degree angle on the other side. Make sure both butt cheeks stay in contact with the floor. Technically, this isn't a static stretch, but we'll do it now because we're already in position. Pull the band down to the ground with a straight leg, and allow the band to gently snap your leg back up at the top. For the 90-90 hip stretch, you want to make a 90-degree angle with one leg pointing forward at 12 o'clock and a 90-degree angle with the other leg pointing to the side at 9 o'clock. Point your chest forward and down. Maintain a tight lower back. Do not let your lower back round. This is a more extreme way of doing the 90-90 hip stretch. The Froggy Style stretch is one of the most brutal and provocative stretches in this video. Push your knees out and place the inside of your knees and feet on the ground. Make a 90-degree angle with both legs. Now, push your butt back behind you. Make sure you maintain that super sexy arch in your lower back. For anyone who sits during the majority of their day, this is the king of all stretches. Place a stick or a PVC pipe on your back. Do not use a barbell. Lunge out as far as you can. Keep your front foot flat and place your back knee on the ground. Let your hips sink forward and lean towards that up knee. Hold for a few seconds, return to center, and repeat. This is the bend and reach. Try to keep your legs as straight as you can throughout the entire movement. Perform 5 to 10 of these. For leg swings, grab onto something and swing your leg back and forth. You should feel a stretch in your hamstring when you swing forward and a stretch in your hip flexors when you swing back. Make sure you maintain a tight lower back. Do not hunch forward. Same thing side to side. When performing fire hydrants, reach back with your leg and contract your glute. Then reach out and around to the original starting position. Do not allow your body to twist. Think about making big circles with your knee. I like to warm up with some goblet squats. Grab a dumbbell and squat down as low as your flexibility allows. Gently bounce at the bottom. Now perform some sumo squats. Keep your knees pushed out. Sit your butt straight down. Do not turn this into a bend. Again, go down as far as your flexibility allows. These are called Rollie Pollies. With straight legs, roll back and try to touch your feet overhead. Put your arms overhead to prevent you from somersaulting backwards. Reach forward and try to touch your toes. If you cannot touch your feet overhead, go as far as you can while maintaining control. Same thing with a wide stance. Same thing to a butterfly position. I like to perform 5 Rollie Pollies for each variation. When performing glute bridges, drive through your heels and squeeze your butt cheeks together. Do not hyperextend your back. If you feel this in your lower back, you're doing it wrong. I first performed the same peanut drill on my upper body days. I like to take a lacrosse ball and spend a few minutes rolling out my rear, medial, and front delt. I also roll out my lats at this point. For this stretch, lay your upper back on a bench and extend your arms out overhead. Open your fingers as wide as you can and bend your hands back towards you. Take 20 to 30 deep breaths into your chest. You will feel this stretch in your hands, forearms, shoulders, and chest. For this stretch, grab a stick with your palms facing away from you. Relax your shoulders and gently roll your head in a clockwise direction for 5 to 10 rotations. Same thing counterclockwise. Then roll to one side and hold for 15 to 30 seconds. Don't forget the other side. You can also just sit on a bench and grab the side while gently pulling your head the other direction. For this brutal stretch, put your fingers together and place your palm flat against the wall, fingers pointing down. Now open up and face the opposite direction. For this lat stretch, grab a squat rack and reach your hips back. Let your head sink down, do not look up. Tuck your butt underneath you to really increase the stretch. Stretch out your rear delts by grabbing onto something across your body. These are called shoulder dislocations, which is an awful name for a warm-up routine. Grab a stick or a PVC pipe with an overhand grip. With straight arms, reach up and over. Do not bend your arms and do not favor one side. As you bring your hands in closer together, the stretch becomes harder and more intense. Maintain a neutral spine. Do not hyperextend your lower back while performing these. You can also perform these with a band, a jump rope, shoelace, extension cord, beach towel, whatever you can get your hands on. I call this the thumbs up drill. Put your hands behind your back like you were getting arrested. Point your thumbs up towards the ceiling and let your elbows hang down towards the ground. Rotate your hands around and overhead without making contact with the ground. Touch your fists together overhead. Make sure you look down. Do not hyperextend your neck by looking up. Perform 10 to 15 of these. The push-up plus drill. Drop down on your hands and knees. Take a deep breath and then exhale while rounding your back like a cat. Push yourself away from the ground and pull your belly button in. Then inhale a large breath and arch your back while pulling your shoulder blades together. Perform a push-up from your knees and sit your butt back onto your heels. Next, I like to perform 3-way shoulder raises to warm up the shoulders. Grab a very light weight and perform 10 side raises with your palms facing away from you. Then 10 with your palms facing back. Ten forward with your palms facing each other. Then 10 where you internally rotate your hands and point your thumbs down at the top. This is called the empty can grip. 10 rear delt raises with your thumbs up. And 10 with your pinkies up. I finish off my upper body warm-ups with some band pull-aparts. When foam rolling, I like to do about 15 passes up and down each body part that I showed you. For stretches, I usually like to hold them for 30 to 60 seconds each. Like I said earlier, I am by no means telling you to do everything in this video, unless you are an absolute structural mess. Think of these stretches and drills as a toolbox that you can pick and choose from. If I'm feeling very sore, I spend the majority of my warm-up foam rolling. If I've been sitting or driving all day, I'll spend more time static stretching. But if I've been up and moving around all day, I'll just jump right into the dynamic warm-up. Lastly, feel free to incorporate some upper body warm-ups on your lower body days and some lower body warm-ups on your upper body days. Personally, I like to warm up my shoulders before I squat so I can get into a good low bar position. And I like to warm up my hips on upper body days so I can get into a good arched position when I bench press. But most importantly, when it comes to warming up, always remember,
Train Untamed.